The meeting to order so we get started on time. So good morning, everyone. Welcome guests. I know we have Ken with us from the Troop 214 that would like to make a request of the group. So I'm going to let you have the floor and start with you.
Well, to give you a little information about our troop, like I said, my name is Ken Elstrom and I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 214, and I've been the Scoutmaster for the past 31 years. And our troop has been doing the pancake feed at Faith Methodist Church since 1958. And during that time, I got involved with it in 1980 when my son crossed over to Boy Scouts. And I served about a 10, 15-year apprenticeship with the person that was in charge of it, and I finally learned how to do it. And I've been doing it for the past 35 years. And we've kind of started out serving from 1 to 2 and then from 4 to 5. And as the troop grew in size, so did our number of hours. And we started serving from 7 to 7 on Saturday. And then on Friday night, we would set up, and then we started serving. After we got it set up, we started having a pancake feed on Friday night. And we came up with the idea, why not have a pancake feed start Friday from 5 to 7, and then Saturday from 7 to 7 to get our numbers up. And also our troop was growing in size. When I started with the troop, we had 10 boys, and back between 2000 and 2010, we had 70 to 80 boys, peaked out at about 80 boys in the troop. Well, that's a lot of boys, and we needed to get involved in the pancake feed, so we came up with the shifts and giving the boys money for working the shifts. But it grew to a point where our numbers in the middle of 2005, 2008, we were serving about 2,600 people is what we maxed out with 1 year. And then the church approached us and said, Ken, you cannot do it here anymore because you've outgrown the church. So we used every available square foot of the church. And they just said, no, you'll have to go elsewhere to find a facility. So I owned Evergreen Conference Center. So I said, well, we'll do it out there because I could seat 300 people. So we did it out there for 4 years. Then I retired and sold all my equipment to the Copper Ridge. And we went over to the Copper Ridge, and they could seat 300 people. So we did the same procedure over there for 4 years, and now they've sold out and no longer doing it, so we're looking for a new home to do the pancakes. And I've been walking down in the Skyway here and going around, and I walked by Colleen's office, and I did it for a number of days, and I thought, you know, this would really work out nice to move up to the Civic Center because I know we can do it. They've got the power, they've got the equipment. So I stopped in and talked to Colleen, and she said, sure, we'll be very happy to help you here. The numbers that we're looking at, again, we know we can serve 2,600 people. We've got the equipment for it. We've got the people. Our scout troop is growing. We've added 15 new boys and girls this spring right now. And to give you a little idea of our pancake feed last January, or this year, January, I printed up 1,400 tickets. We sold 1,300 tickets. We served 1,000. And my experience has always been, you can always oversell a little bit because you always have the no-shows factors. And the fact that people make a contribution and buy a ticket and don't show. So we try and get to that number, but we have to be careful again. I'd like to advertise more, but it's like I don't dare to advertise more because we can't feed more people at that location. So we've been kind of just selling tickets and trying to take care of our customers that we built up over the years. And I feel that we can accommodate more people, plus we can involve more boys in the troop. And this past year, our ticket sales and everything from the event was $8,500. We had $2,000 roughly in food costs, related costs to serving, and then we had to pay the Copper Ridge $500 for use of their building for the electricity, and that left us $6,000 to divide up with the boys. And usually what we try and do, we promise them $50 a shift for working and $50 for selling a book of tickets. So it's very doable for a boy to work 3 shifts, 150, sell a book of tickets, get another 50, he can get $200, or she can get $200 for going to summer camp this next summer. And that's what we're trying to do, is earn as much money as we can to give back to the kids. That's what our goal is so they can have the money to go to camp. And like I said, if with the Civic Center, we know now that we can easily print up more tickets, because that time when we were doing 2,600, I was printing up 3,000 tickets, and we're selling like 2,700 tickets. So we know we've got the capacity to do that, and I think at the Civic Center here, we can easily advertise and let the word out more that finally we have a pancake feed at the Fargo Civic, because I know I've heard a lot over the years that, boy, it'd be nice to have a pancake feed at the Fargo Civic. I'm so used to the Kiwanis being down there, and now they moved out to the Dome, and a lot of people have shied away from the Dome because it's a lot of walking and stuff that they've told me. So I really like the Civic Center, because when I moved to town in 1973, this is where we did come down for pancakes at the Civic Center, so I was used to that. And I was with the kids a couple weeks ago, or a week ago. I was talking to them. I said, have you ever been down to the Fargo Civic Center? And they look at me like, what's the Fargo Civic Center? They didn't even know what the Fargo Civic Center was. And so we got to remember that it hasn't been down here for a number of years, so these kids do not get down here. And the reason I like the Fargo Civic Center is, in our troop, we have kids now that live in South Fargo. We have a family that lives in Moorhead. We have another family that lives in Dilworth. So when they go sell tickets, the people don't have to travel way up to the other side of North Fargo to attend at a church. They can come right down. It's right center of town, close to South, close to Dilworth and Moorhead. And I feel it would be just an excellent place to have the pancake feed. Now, some of the parents are concerned about the costs, and I know Colleen went over things with me. And I would just like to ask for a little help in that. And if like a $1,500, if we could serve 300 people, and if we work in that same percentage, if we get $500 for every 1,000, we could easily do $1,500 for expenses for the Civic Center. Plus, we'd have a much better event, because this is really a social get-together for a lot of people, because they've been customers of ours for many, many years, and they love coming and staying and chatting. And if you get in too small a facility, there is just no room to stand and chat. Where at the Civic Center, you could be standing and visiting with people and wouldn't be in the way. There's plenty of room for putting on a wonderful event for pancakes. So really appreciate that. And like I said, we now are, our troop is what they call a troop, Scouts PSA troop, which means we have boys and girls in our troop. And we're one of, right now we're one of 2 troops in the Fargo-Moorhead area that has girls in the troop. So.
Okay, thank you, Ken. So, Colleen, what's our normal policy for reduced rent for a group like this?
Reduced rent would be just 1 day's rent, the $650. The only thing we'd charge would be for staffing and equipment, tables, chairs, those kinds of things.
And have you estimated in their situation what that cost would be?
It would be around that $1,200 to $1,400.
Okay. One thing, I was looking at the sheet. There's round tables and rectangular tables. If we could get round tables at rectangular table prices, that would make a much more friendly environment, people sitting around a round table than sitting around a rectangular table. Now, I know if we were, when we grow, and it depends on the room size, you can always get more people in a room with rectangular tables. But if we've got some extra room, like we would have at the Civic Center, at least for the first year, round tables would really work out nice environment. Plus, it would help fill the room up a little bit, so that for looks-wise, and also for conversation.
Ken, are you talking about only 1 day event then, just a Saturday again?
Well, we'd be looking at serving again Friday night from 5 to 7, 5 to 7:30. The reason for that is we have a lot of people that go out of town. And when the boys go out selling tickets, they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't buy any because I'm leaving out of town." Well, see, now we can say, well, that's okay because we're serving Friday night at the Civic Center from 5 to 7:30.
And then Saturday would be what?
Pardon?
Saturday would be 7 to 1, or?
Saturday would be 7 to 1, yes.
So they're technically getting like a 24-hour day then?
Correct.
I don't see an issue with that. I'd make the motion to give them a $650 plus the expenses for staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, Ken, you're in business.
Okay.
Good luck with the event.
Thank you, and I will do a very wonderful job for everyone here, and I know you'll be proud of it, so.
And Ken, make sure somebody gets a book to
Yeah,
Dan.
we'll need some tickets. Yeah, make sure they come see us, because I like pancake.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you know, we do have another request here, I see. Colleen, do we want to address that now, or?
Yeah, we can address it
Okay,
now.
why don't we, as long as we're talking about some asks for reduced rent, we have the Alzheimer's group that are looking for a reduced rent as well.
They were here last year for the first time. They set up 1 day in the afternoon and then had their walk the next morning. I did talk to Hannah on the phone last week. She was wondering if she needed to come in and do another presentation. I told her since she had been here once already that it wasn't necessary if she did not want to come in. So I told her that I would just present this before the board.
So is this another 2-day event, set up, and so it'd be 2 days rent, set up, and then the execution? Is that correct?
But they're just asking for the 1 day reduced rent, the $650.
Which is what we did last year for them,
That's what
right?
we did last year for them, yes.
Well, I make a motion that we approve that 1 day reduction.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Jim, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Okay, that's also approved, Colleen. All right, so let's just get into the regular business part of our meeting. First off, we have the minutes from the prior meeting. We have a review those, and if we could get a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. And then the financial report. Colleen, you want to run us through the last couple months that you have here?
Okay. Just so you know, on, let's see. Electricity, I asked about that, and they just said it was just a catch-up the way that they were, under February, for that $10,000, versus last year. They were doing a catch-up because of the move over here to this building versus our building, you know, for getting the percentages right. So they were just doing a catch-up on that. And then for the next month, there was a couple large ones under other services for $11,340. That went for that Obermiller Nelson HVAC Reno. So that's what that one was for. And then the one right below that, repairs and maintenance, that was Olaf Anderson, the wall and vapor barrier and the temp door that's down in the Centennial Hall lobby. So those were extra costs. So if you, that's about $20,000. So if you actually, you know, if we didn't have that, we'd be doing much better for the month.
You think?
Yeah,
Those are big ones.
Yikes.
yeah. Other than that, everything else has been going good for the financial. It's just those two big items.
Everything else looks consistent with the prior year anyway.
Yep.
Any other questions that any of the group has for Colleen on the financials?
Make a motion to approve the financial.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's been approved. I know we have Mike and Mayor Mahoney here. Would you gentlemen like a little time on our agenda this morning? Well, we'll give you the floor right now if you'd like.
Okay, well, that's great. Thanks, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Appreciate the time today, and thanks for having us in. We just wanted to talk a bit about Emerging Prairie and TEDx, just to provide an update for this commission. Last month, on your March 1 meeting, and just approved in your minutes, you had some discussion about the Ticketmaster agreement and just making sure that your users were trying to use that Ticketmaster agreement when they're ticketing events in the space. Following that, Colleen and I have both had some follow-up conversations with the Emerging Prairie Group, Mr. Tavine. And then this week, I've actually tried to reach out a couple of times to Ticketmaster, and unfortunately, we're not hearing back from Ticketmaster just about some alternative suggestions and ideas that Emerging Prairie has for how they ticket their event and how they would like to use Ticketmaster. I think they're willing to use Ticketmaster, but they are also wanting to make sure that there are some kind of alternatives that we understand from our account rep in Minneapolis that could be available to Emerging Prairie as the event promoter. And these things include pricing controls, a little bit more dynamic pricing control throughout the duration of the registration period, as well as some reporting and some comp ticket management that the conventional Ticketmaster offering, in their mind, doesn't meet their needs and doesn't meet it to their satisfaction. I think at the end of the day, Emerging Prairie views TEDx as an event enrollment rather than a ticketed event type of format. And they have used Eventbrite the last couple of years. We're trying to endeavor to get this additional information from Ticketmaster, but we have received this renewed request from Emerging Prairie that if there is any opportunity to even look at a one-year exception for a third year of doing Eventbrite and then come back with some additional time after their event this year, I believe it's July 25th is when they've booked the space this year, to come back and then have a more in-depth conversation with Ticketmaster. I think this might also warrant Ticketmaster, when they're here visiting the area, sitting down and talking with this group directly about some of their concerns. And we believe there are some options for them, but unfortunately we're just not hearing back from Ticketmaster in a real timely way. So just looking for any alternatives or exceptions, perhaps on this one-year basis only, that allow us some time to try figure out how to keep the event in the Civic, but then also to keep them consistent with the Ticketmaster agreement. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Colleen and I have had some back and forth as well with the group as well as Ticketmaster on this. So thank you for the time.
I will tell you, Mike, that this will be their 5th year at the Civic. So they've used Eventbrite before that, so.
So that precedent had been set, which was kind of the concern that we had, but
yes,
we also felt that the agreement was pretty clear, we thought, with Ticketmaster, and we didn't feel that we had the authority at this time anyway to break that agreement with Ticketmaster. So I know you're waiting to hear back from them, and once you do, maybe that'll shed some light on whether we can or cannot. Is that correct? Is that what you're waiting for, Mike?
Yeah, we're really just trying to get some additional information from Ticketmaster. And unfortunately, this week had a couple of calls. We're just not getting a return phone call to figure out what those options might be. So I think in fairness to the event promoter, it would be nice to try to get to some timely information. You know, they're about 90 days out. They want to start promoting their event and get the word out. But I think that we're certainly committed with the group to try to help them work through Ticketmaster when we can get the right resource, and maybe we're just not connecting with the right account representative. But I think that if there was any opportunities, even on a one-year basis, just to allow for some more study so that we can figure out certainly how to retain them and keep them in the space, I think would be good. But I think this is one that's going to need some more time to put together, just based on what I'm hearing.
Okay. Yes, Mayor.
I think the difficulty with this is that, as Greg Tavine explained this to us, the Eventbrite allows them to do a lot of massaging. They find out who's coming, what's happening, and on a daily basis they make changes and do a variety of different things. Their view of it is that for 2 years you allowed them to do it, and it's an event, it's not really a concert. So on a concert basis with Ticketmaster works very well. You buy your ticket, you get in here, that's what happens. What they're requesting is actually the ability to work with Eventbrite, because then they can see who's coming daily, do some phone calls. Oh, this person's coming, maybe we can have them speak, we can have them do something else. They're very passionate about the fact that for their type of venue, that works much better. And I think really what they're requesting is if you guys would do an exception and let them do it one more time. Next year, they may not come back to the Civic Center if they have to use Ticketmaster, but part of what Mike's frustration is Ticketmaster has not really been responsive, because reality would be you'd ask Ticketmaster, can you do these things? Can we do these things? And that would help them. They know Eventbrite can do that or that type of scheduling. So I'm just requesting it. I mean, it's our millennials and our young people, entrepreneurs coming in, fairly good to have them at the Civic Center. I really like having it at that event. The TEDx gets national attention from Fargo when we do it there. So it seemed like, at least when they came in and talked to us, it was a huge issue for them. They were very not wanting to go to Ticketmaster. Fully understand you have a contract and that's where you guys are trying to honor it, but from their perspective, the last 2 years you allowed them an exception. We're asking for an exception one more year. So that's what I have to say, I came here and plead for them, but it's your decision.
Mike, Mr. Mayor, Dr. Mayor, the thing we're most concerned about is violating Ticketmaster's contract and then having other entities coming to the Civic and saying, hey, you bent the rules for these guys, why don't you bend the rules for us? What are your thoughts on those things?
Bruce?
Yeah, Bruce.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Dan, thanks. I mean, the reason that this is part of our minutes from our last meeting was that very thing. Eventbrite had been allowed to be used for TEDx, and we were getting lots of inquiries from other event promoters to use. It seems like everybody's got their own ticketing system these days. And what happens then is, for an event venue like ours, we have a contract with Ticketmaster and the tickets are purchased through us. So as a business, the ticket sales go through us and then we move money onto the promoter. In the opposite case, the money goes through the promoter and then comes back to us. So a little concerning about that. Checked with the Fargo Dome, and that's not something that they allow. But as excited as I am about the pancake feed, guess what they don't use?
Ticketmaster. How about that?
But our agreement with Ticketmaster is if the ticket is $10 or less, they don't have to go through Ticketmaster.
Ah.
Well, now,
And their ticket would be an $8 ticket.
What is Eventbrite?
I believe that, I don't know their exact dollar that they're going to have for their pricing this year, but when you're buying a TEDx ticket, you're buying, in their case, you're not buying just admission to the event, you're buying all the experiences around it. So it's not just a come to one-time event, then you leave, and then you're gone for the day. I think it's like a $50 or $60-some ticket, if I recall, where they're provided for, you know, a catered lunch that's out on a closed street. They're in the Civic. They're also out on the green space. They might have other vendors that are catering food in, so it's snacks, it's food, it's beverage. It's a more all-inclusive ticket. So they're actually charging for the day, not for the event only, and for that speaker that's on the stage at the Civic.
so they're technically not buying a ticket per se, right?
They are registering for an event, correct, for the day. Much like my analogy too, and I think Bruce had a good analogy, but another analogy in our world would be the Chamber of Commerce. They would go rent a private facility, you would go to the Holiday Inn, you're maybe paying the chamber $30 for a breakfast ticket to hear the mayor speak at the State of the Cities, but you then also are, you know, clearly they're remitting some of that back to their coffer, but they're also paying then the event and the rental space as well. So it's more analogous to a chamber event, I think.
Because I know in the past, they've charged anywhere from $100 to $150 a ticket.
Yeah, and my 50 to 60 figure is, I believe, our pricing. We're a partner entity as the city of Fargo, you know, to Emerging Prairie, and so we get some comped or discounted tickets. But very well could be correct, Colleen, that it's a more expensive ticket, but they are also providing for, again, that lunch, that break food, and the speakers, and an entire day, as well as some other I guess treat bags, like just like T-shirts and other things that they're providing their registrants.
So does that mean that we aren't violating Ticketmaster's license with us because this is a rare event and it gets us around that contract?
Or you're just registering to attend?
I believe that's the way I certainly view it. You are registering to attend an event, no different than a Chamber of Commerce would. They just don't happen to use our space, the Chamber, but it's analogous to that. I do think that with some additional time, we can try and encourage them to look at these other options that we believe Ticketmaster has, but I do know that they are anxious to try to get promoting, and with the lack of additional information for them, it's been a bit challenging for them to plan. So that's their version.
So Dan, to your question, I think that it's clearly you'd be violating if we're doing a concert. So if the Rolling Stones was coming into the Civic Center, we're violating that. Eventbrite would not be appropriate. But what they argued with us, it's more an event, and there's a variety of different venues that they can get in on that. So it's not purely just one ticket to get into the ticket TEDx. It's for any other variety of things. We think that gives you an out because, quote, it's an event registration rather than a concert registration. And Ticketmaster hasn't challenged it in the past. And then the second item, Ticketmaster has really not been very responsive on this question. We've contacted them numerous times and they won't come back and help us out. If we could come to you and say, hey, Ticketmaster came back, we got everything all worked out, we'd have no issue. But the fact that we're having a hard time with that contracted person to say, can we do some different things? That's why we're requesting, can we make an exception this time?
Got it.
Well, this is a great event, and I think we all recognize how good of an event it is, and I think that you just gave us the wiggle room that we were looking for, because we had no problem with doing it. We were more concerned with the contract. So if there appears to be some interpretation that would give us the wiggle room that we're looking for, I mean, I certainly would be in favor of it.
Were we getting a legal opinion on it?
I think that we're going by precedent and what we've done in the past and what our interpretation of the agreement is, in whether it's a concert or an event. And we're saying that based on our understanding of that, we think that it's okay to not use Ticketmaster in this, like we've done in the past, and continue this same agreement for another year.
I think with Ticketmaster being non-responsive, that gives us some serious room.
I think so too.
Well, and I think if interpreting a registration versus a ticket
Sure.
would be
You
to
know,
look at.
I'm just wondering though, where are we gonna stand if Ticketmaster comes back and says, you violated our contract and we're gonna pull our equipment out of here? And the other thing is, if we allow this to happen, where do we'll have to make basically a decision on everybody that comes in and says, I want to use my ticket service. And that's not going to be something that I think we want to address every time a promoter comes in and says, I want to use my service and not Ticketmaster. I don't think we were really ever made aware of what we did or what was done when we initially went down this trail.
No, and I think in the past, it was something that Bob had approved, if I understood it right, and didn't come before this group. When it did come before the group, we questioned the contract and the Ticketmaster language in there. But again, if there's a way to interpret that would give us the freedom to continue to do what we did in the past, and to at least say for this event, and I don't think that we want to deviate from Ticketmaster on a regular basis, and I don't think that's our intention, but we do have this event that's coming up. It's coming up quickly. It needs to be resolved one way or the other. Right. And for us to continue to say that we're waiting for an interpretation from Ticketmaster or whomever just delays the decision, and I just think it's too big of an event and too important of an event to do that. I'd like to see it move forward without any obstructions and continue what we did in the past.
Well, the other thing, Mr.
Do this
Chair.
Ticketmaster issue on a more thorough basis so that we're making a sound decision in the future, because right now we're being told that there's wiggle room. They're not giving us a definite answer. I mean, I think that we need to act and we need to move, but we need to continue to explore what the contract will and will not allow us to do.
The other thing, Mr. Chair, is it's a little concerning that they can't even get a return phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, that's concerning to me.
You know, we want a return answer in a timely fashion. I think that's the key word in that. And it's been how long?
I had phone calls to Ticketmaster this week on Monday, and then it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, a follow-up phone call. So today's Thursday. But yeah, I haven't heard from this individual, got the voicemail. And Colleen had been in touch with the individual too before that in Minneapolis, and he was to provide her with some additional information too about some of these Ticketmaster alternatives that they have within their suite of offerings. And we didn't see any written documentation on that either. So I think that with some time, we can have that dialogue, and we should. And I think we would want to try to use them if we can. And we'll certainly encourage that dialogue, but about 90 days out at this point, our promoter needs to get going with promoting the event.
And that's documented that they haven't been responsive then.
Mm-hmm. So, you know what, I'm going to make a motion just to get this on the table that because of the precedent that was set in the past in allowing them to do this, and the fact that we haven't been able to get a response from Ticketmaster to get their opinion on it and the need to make a decision for the promoter, I'm going to make a motion that we continue to allow them to use Eventbrite like we have in the past.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we've got one opposed for Jim. All right, so that was carried. Thanks, everyone, for the dialogue. Let's see, next up, Director's Report. So Colleen, do you want to kind of walk us through that and the maybe upcoming events both?
Sure. Just to kind of let you know, I have been in contact with Nancy Morris. She's with the City Attorney's Office. She had requested from me a copy of the Ticketmaster contract and our last board meeting. I sent that to her. Haven't had much of a response. The reason that was started was one of the promoters wants to get his own tickets in here, and with the discussion we just had with TEDx, so he had gone to his lawyer. His lawyer contacted the city's lawyer, and I gave her the information. I have not heard anything back since then. So just wanted to let you know that that has come up. And then, coming events, on April 30th, now that one has been canceled. That was a City of Fargo entity with Mike Williams. And they decided that they weren't getting enough vendors for that event. A mobility event, like for bikes and ADA and things like that. So they have gone and they're going to go over to the library. Instead, they're hoping the one in the fall, they'll come back to the Civic if they can get more vendors. They're just not getting enough response on that. May 10th, we've got, it's Northland Vapor. This company is having a concert. I did talk to them before tickets went on sale and before he signed the contract that there is 2 other concerts in Fargo that day. So I told him it would, didn't know how it would be. There's one at Blue Stem and one at the Shields Arena. He said, nope, it was gonna be sold out. I hear that quite often. There's 109 tickets sold.
Oh, gee.
I want to get you guys' okay, or your feelings. I would like to call this gentleman next Thursday. If the tickets aren't up in ticket sales, I'm going to want to request from him to pay up front, because we've been burned before with low ticket sales. I just want to make sure that's okay with you guys to do that.
How often do we do that?
We've had to do it one other time.
Okay.
There isn't any language in the contract.
Yes, there
Or
is.
there?
Yep.
Oh, well.
That
then-
we can ask for more of a deposit.
Okay.
And what does he consider a sold-out status?
Well, every 3,300.
Oh, you got 100 and what?
He's got 109.
A lot of good seats left.
Just a lot of free, just got some work to do.
So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that this is what I would like to do again.
Colin, you should have already done it, I think, because you've technically lost that day for sale.
Right.
And he's got to pay up for it, or he's got to be off the calendar.
Right. So if he won't pay up front, are you going to cancel the event?
We have every right to cancel the event.
Okay.
But I want to know what your guys' opinions is that, and it is in our contract that we have every right to cancel.
I think it's
I'd say go
important we
for it.
protect ourselves, absolutely.
Good business decision.
Thank you for reminding us.
Okay.
Any reason that you shouldn't do it now rather than wait till, you said next Thursday?
Yeah, I was going to give them 2 weeks out.
Okay.
Oh, do it.
So would you rather have me do it today?
Yes. Yep.
Well, if you think it's not gonna happen, and it sounds like it's not, then at least it would free the date up, and I don't know if there's a possibility of somebody else taking that
I don't
date.
think so, but
Colin,
then you've
let me-
got,
Don't you have to have staffing and stuff like that? And shouldn't you be telling those people already that?
I would like to let the staff know. My feeling is a 2 week, let them know 2 weeks ahead of time. So that's why I was thinking if I talk to them Thursday, then on Friday would be actually 2 weeks before his event.
I'd do it
Do
now.
it today.
I'd do it now.
Okay,
Yep.
Yep, I would too.
okay. Then we've got a new event, June 29th, Wonder Woman Run.
Hey,
It's,
are you in that?
no. I couldn't run across the street. Yeah.
Put you on Tom's back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a new event. It's with Mark Knutson that does the
Oh, sure.
marathon.
Oh,
He's
sure.
starting that event. And August is nothing as of this time. I did have a phone call from a gal out in California yesterday that I sent her information about prices for concerts. She's looking at some August dates. So maybe we'll get something from that in August.
Don't we have basketball?
Basketball is going, the Lions is going to a high school.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
That's the first year we've not had that.
First year, we've not had that. Their attendance has been really low. Last year, their attendance was about 500 people. And they didn't have enough monies or revenues from their sales for their tickets they went in the hole. And so they decided to go to a school this year. They're also going to a school in Bismarck this year also.
Going back to Northland Vapor's concert, a company called Northland Vapor, who's in concert? Do you know who's playing?
Who the Juicy J.
Well, Tom, you've got their stuff downloaded on your computer, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
It
Everything, yeah.
It is a rapper.
Oh, jeez.
I did talk to one of my security guys, my head supervisor guy. He told me that they were over at, the same guy was over at Holiday Inn when they used to do those raves or
right.
whatever there. And he's just gave me a heads up, and he said it might be a little bit tough one.
Oh.
Okay.
Call it when you get leave.
Okay, Colleen, any other updates on upcoming events or lost business?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you, Colleen. So the event evaluation sheets went around, and we had 3, which were all very positive, good reviews. So good job to Colleen and your staff. They're doing a great job. Good to see. Beyond that, how about new business? Any other new business?
No, just that one, Wonder Woman run we talked about.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if there are no other issues to come before the commission, I am going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.